welcome to New Realities. I've been just listening to the music of David Young. Thank you, David. David is a writer, musician, artist, and I really enjoyed the softness of those sounds in the way that, well, you've done over 50 CDs, and the people use them for meditation, your music, and for inspiration. So tell me, what is it, when you're playing your flutes, recorders, what is it that's moving through you?
Well, there's two parts of the process. One is if I'm playing something that's already written.
Right.
And the other is if I'm improvising. And it seems like people enjoy it more when I'm just improvising, you know.
How do you feel about what do you enjoy more?
Well, like there's a place for each, but I do enjoy the improvising because then I can just be free, you know.
Well, this piece you just played now was from a CD you did called Solace.
Yeah.
And but in the creation of a CD, you're improvising when you're creating it, right? Or do you have an idea of a composition?
See, when I first started making CDs, the first couple of CDs I made were called Celestial Winds. And that was a group of harpists and I who we started playing together at Venice Beach. And we started with my last $100. We sold 10,000 copies of this tape called Celestial Winds at the beach. And back then, what we used to do, it was called pre-production.
What year was that?
That was from 1991 to 1993.
Right.
And so what pre-production means is that you practice the songs for months and months.
Oh, I see.
And then you go into the studio and you play them. And so let's say 90% of it is all worked out, you know. And so for the first 5 years, you know, anything that we would record, we would practice and write it all out, and it would all be set. And then she and I stopped working together.
The harpist
in 1994. And by that time, we'd sold 100,000 units. We were traveling all over the United States and Canada.
Wow.
And so at that point, I started recording the CDs where I would, instead of playing with a harpist, because we weren't working together any longer, I would play the guitar, and I would lay down the guitar and add the other instruments. And I lived in Los Angeles at the time, had a lot of really famous musicians who played with me, like the guy who was...
Name drop, I want to hear the names.
Drop?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Keith Hefner, he was with Guitaro for 7 years. All those great Guitaro records that sold all those millions of records.
Yeah. Actually, it sounds sort of had some Guitaro influence, these flutes.
Yeah, it has that kind of timbre to it, you know.
Yeah.
So Keith and I did 7 CDs together, of which one of them was called Renaissance. It was nominated for a Grammy.
Great. You know? That's right. I forgot to say you're a Grammy Award winner,
That's
author of a book called Divine Inner Guidance. But anyway, so you did this with Keith.
Yeah, and so basically, Keith and I got so good at working together that there was no pre-production. It would basically be, we would go into the studio, I would play the guitar in a song, and then we would just improvise and fake it until it sounded good.
I see, great.
You know, so a lot of the stuff that we made on the spot, because I got to a point where I was traveling between 40 and 45 weekends of the year, where every Friday I'd get on a plane, fly someplace.
And doing a concert somewhere.
Yeah, doing concerts, festivals. I sold music into the spa industry because I sell to over 10,000 massage therapists all over North America.
You do? Wow.
Yeah. You can get a massage anywhere in North America. You got a 50% chance it's my music you're hearing.
Wow. So what do you like that? Is that inspires you? I mean, do you visualize massage when you're playing? I mean, is there in your consciousness what's happening?
Well, I don't really think about the massage so much, even though I enjoy getting a massage. But there's really a spiritual purpose for the fact that in our culture now, massage is completely... everybody gets a massage.
We need touch. We need to be touched, and we need to de-stress. So your music is there to help that whole process.
Well, the unique thing about a massage, it's like meditation time for people. Because when you get a massage, you lay down, and the massage therapist say, well, you can close your eyes, and, you know, I'll tell you when the massage is over.
And it's an inner experience. You are having an experience with you and your body. Thank you. So it's very much like meditation. And meditation's a big part of your life.
Sure. Yeah, I've been meditating for 30 years.
TM or any type of meditation?
I study a thing called Ekankar.
I know Ekankar.
It means soul travel.
Yeah.
And so you learn different techniques and to find inner peace, to get out of your body and experience the inner worlds while you're still
the
alive.
man, Hugh.
Hugh. Yeah, that's right. That's instead of using Om like the Buddhists use Om, we use Hugh, and
which means God man, Hugh man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you has that influenced your music, the Eckankar practice in a way?
Well, through Eckankar, I've learned to have spiritual experiences.
Mm-hmm. Like, what's a spiritual experience for you?
Well, anytime we experience God's light, the inner light, or the inner sound, that's a spiritual experience.
Oh, and that's what Eckankar is about, is experiencing the inner light. And
yeah, every single religion on the planet has references to the light. He saw the light, or the inner sound that we get to hear. Because each level of heaven has its own sound.
What's a particular experience that you had that you could share? Like, what in particular, like what adventure, what happened in those experiences?
Well, because I've been studying it for 30 years and I've been meditating for 30 years, it would be difficult for me to say one particular experience because I try to meditate every day for at least a half hour, and I've definitely found that if I make the time to meditate twice in the day, like once in the morning and once at night, it's like you build up a spiritual momentum inside yourself because you're lifting your vibration up.
So it's your creativity, is that influenced because you're incredibly prolific, your paintings, your writings, your music, is that inspired by the spiritual practice, or where do the two come together?
Well, what we eat makes us who we are.
Right.
So when we meditate, or whatever way people take a little time just to turn off the mind, or just to take some time for themselves and to find some kind of peace. Every time we do that, we're strengthening like our spiritual self.
Right.
Because what actually is happening is that we're learning to tune in to the Great Spirit, the cosmic energy, universal energy, the life force. Every religion has its own name for it, but it's all the same thing.
And that's what creativity is. When I'm in a creative mood, I feel very connected to that same life force. I mean, is that true for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it looks like we're the creators, but we're just the channel for the creation.
Right.
Because the Great Spirit works through us. And there's a saying that, great musicians don't play music, they let the music play through them.
Yeah, the artists say the same thing.
And yeah, the same thing with art.
So when you're doing your paintings as opposed to your music, is it a different channel, or is it all different ways of expressing, or do you tune into a different frequency?
Well, when you go into the zone, like and with art, the thing that I really like about art is that I don't need an engineer running the equipment to catch it. Like, if you're playing baseball, you got the pitcher throws the ball and the catcher catches the ball. And in the recording studio, I'm the pitcher, I throw the ball, means I'm playing the music, and there's an engineer who's catching the ball and recording it. The thing that I love about painting is that I can paint by myself. I don't need anybody else because I'm just there by myself.
But your life is dedicated to music in a sense. I mean, that's your primary...
And art now,
your primary motive. A big play, because I did see someone else play two flutes at once. But what is the secret? I mean, are you blowing out of both sides of your mouth, or what are you doing?
Well, pretty much. Well, just for the record, there is a guy in Canada who plays 3 flutes at one time. And he rides a unicycle that's 15 feet tall.
While he's playing the flutes?
Yeah, but he only knows one song, but he still can play 3. I only 2.
How do you do it, though? And you're not riding a unicycle.
But that's true. I mean it. I saw the guy do it at a festival.
But how are you doing it? I mean, you also both fingers are doing something different. So tell me, what's your secret, if you want to share your secret?
Well, you ever see those James Bond movies where he takes the card and he throws it across the room and he can get it in a garbage can, and the guy says, well, how did you do that? And he says, well, I practiced 6 hours a day for 10 years. Well, it took me practicing 6 hours a day for 3 years to really get good at it. And the way I started doing it is kind of funny, because when I was at Venice Beach at first in 1990, and Lisa and I were playing at the beach. You know, Lisa had this beautiful Celtic harp. She had a white flowing dress, long, dark, wavy hair, and playing this harp. The wind was blowing through her hair. I mean, she looked like a goddess there on the beach, you know. And I'm also a singer and a guitar player, and I was like usually the star in most of my bands because I was the lead singer and the lead guitar player. And I'd sit there next to her, and no matter what I would do, I was invisible because she just looked like this goddess with the harp.
I see. So you wanted to get some attention.
Yeah, and in the beginning, she only knew how to play like 7 songs, and so we played those same 7 songs over like 30 or 40 times a day.
Right.
Which for musicians, that's called torture.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so during the afternoon, I'd played those songs 25 or 30 times already, and I was bored out of my mind. So during the afternoon, I would think, well, how can I need something to keep myself busy because I'm so bored, you know. And so I would pick up a second flute, and I would try to do it, but every single time I would do that, whatever people were walking by would say, hey, look, there's a guy playing 2 flutes at one time. And then she was invisible. And that's, honest to God, it's the only reason why I did it.
But as you play 2 flutes, they're making different sounds, right? I mean, are you going to play 3 flutes? No, just...
Well, I'm going to just get the small one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
whatever
sure.
it's your...
Yeah. You want to try? We'll wait.
I would, but you already used those flutes.
That's a good point.
I don't try to use my own flute. But I don't want to toot my own horn. But no, so when you're playing both these, okay, I'm not going to put them in my... But, okay, and you're doing different finger movements. And they're different breaths, or is it one breath?
No, it's one breath.
It's one breath. Just
the breathing part is the easy part, because when I'm doing this, I put it in a certain way so an equal amount of breath goes into both of the flutes.
Oh, I see.
You see, that's if I'm not blowing into it correctly. Like, it sounds flat, right?
Yeah.
But if I blow into it equally, then they're both in key. It was difficult to learn how to play 2 of these because this hand was trained to do this part, which is a totally... So I had played normal for like 15 years before I started doing this. It was so unnatural. It'd be like a guitar player going from righty to lefty.
These are recorders, right?
Yeah, they're recorders.
What is this big thing?
That's a piece of plumbing, but okay, also a bass recorder.
Is this really? It looks
no,
like
it's not a piece of plumbing.
Looks like it'd be a part of a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, it could be.
But what does this sound like?
Okay, I'll put my echo on just so it has
put
the
your
really
echo
nice
on.
sound. Okay.
And what is it called? Okay.
That's called a bass recorder without the echo.
Without the echo, because the echo wasn't on.
Right.
But it's with the echo, it sounds... But you're holding it sort of crooked in your mouth, I mean...
I do, because if I put it directly in my mouth, and just for simplicity, here, why don't you hold on to that for a little bit. If I blow directly into it...
Yes.
That's a pure tone. But if I blow off to the side, then it adds the sound of this airy sound.
The airy sound gives you much more of an etheric feeling.
Yeah, it sounds more spiritual, I think.
I think it does too.
Yeah.
So this does look like, I know, a vacuum cleaner I had, but it's a great sound. But I just want to talk about the harmony. So in the harmony of the flutes, you achieve a sort of certain level. Do you get into how music affects the brain? And I mean, I know you worked with Joe Dispenza, who's been a guest on the show.
Sure.
But then what's your intention in the music in affecting the person's state of consciousness?
That's a great question. Okay. And after playing for 30 years, while I was in Africa last month, I finally got an understanding of why so many people have healings or out-of-body experiences or spiritual experiences through my music, from my CDs, or from my live performances. And it all connects to meditation. Okay, so after, like, when you meditate, you know, you get, after 10 minutes, you have a certain feeling that you reach after 10 minutes of meditation.
You feel dropped in. You feel like... I feel like an observer of my own mind. I mean, that's how I would say it.
Okay. And your mind is a little bit settled down, a lot more settled down after 10 minutes than after the first minute or two. Because the first minute or two, your mind is so used to moving all the time.
Right.
And after 10 minutes, let's say we get to level 1, a nice, relaxing state. Well, if we hang in there and do another 10 minutes, then let's say that's level 2. It's a deeper state of consciousness. Our mind is quieter. And because our mind is quieter, we can actually receive the guidance and the inner messages from the Great Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's level 2.
Right.
Now, if we hang in there another 10 minutes and we get to the 30-minute thing, now we're in level 3 because our mind has now had 5 minutes of jumping around, 5 minutes of being kind of quiet. Then we have 10 minutes where it's really quiet. And now we're really, really experiencing more of what Spirit wants to communicate through us because Spirit is not trying to get in the middle of every other word that our mind is doing. So after 30 minutes of meditation, we're in a very deep state of meditation and we're able to receive more. So we feel more peaceful, we feel more calm, and it's more beautiful, right?
Right.
So you know that there's a certain vibration that we feel inside of ourselves after 30 minutes of meditation.
And you're also shifting as you're playing for 30 minutes, you're also going in deeper.
Right, because when I'm playing music, it's taking me deeper. But when I make my CDs,
Yeah.
I don't stop. It's not finished until it gives me that feeling that I get after 30 minutes of meditation.
I see.
So what happens all the time, people email me or send me letters or whatever, and they say, how come within a minute of me turning on your CD, I'm out of my body? Or how come I experience this deep state of relaxation?
Oh, you're giving them a transmission almost of your state of awareness after 30, of that dropped-in state, and they are energetically accessing it right directly through the music.
Yeah, because the vibration that I feel after 30 minutes of my meditation, that's what I put into all these things.
Right, beautiful.
All of my CDs. So that's why there are so many people who have these profound experiences with my music, because I put that vibration into every song that I make.
You know, it reminds me of the artists who would create the statues of Buddha in these like blissful states, but the artist had to be in the state in order for them to recreate those sculptures and those paintings. So it's a transmission from one consciousness to another via music or art, and that's what you're doing as you drop into. So you really are a vehicle for Spirit.
Well, we're all vehicles for Spirit, and I'm a vehicle through Spirit with my music, and now through my art as well.
Right, but no, I liked what you said. So you're in that state in the creation of that music. So that's why people can get it.
You know that buzz, and this is one of the things that I talk about in my book.
Yes, your book. Oops,
Bang.
it's okay.
Divine Inner Guidance.
Divine Inner Guidance.
Yeah, I'll help you with that.
Which you just wrote, Your Intuition to Transform. Tell me, what is it that...
Well, I talk about the creative process because, one of the first questions you asked me is, well, what do I enjoy more? Do I enjoy more of the improvisation or do I, something that's written out? So when I first started making these CDs, we would plan everything and rehearse it. Right. But after a couple of years of this and doing this on my own, I was traveling to 45 different cities every year, like on the weekends. Right. Most people work Monday to Friday. I work Friday till Sunday, at these festivals, And so I would travel 45 weekends a year, and during the week, I would make 4 albums during the year, every year.
Okay.
And so...
That's how you ended up with over 50 CDs.
Right. And so after a couple of years of this, I didn't have time to plan or pre-produce any of these things. I would basically go into the studio, and I just have to, make it up as I was going along.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest stories in my book is about this CD called Solace. So I started this album that was nominated for a Grammy without one note, I had no idea of anything I was going to do.
You went to the studio cold.
Absolutely cold. 100% cold.
Okay.
And basically I kept surrendering over to Spirit, asking for guidance, trying to stay centered spiritually and just always follow that feeling of what was leading me and guiding me along. And so some really beautiful things happened in there. But after the whole album was done, during the process, the names of the songs, because there were no words for these, they had these names
Ancient Dialogues, Calling All Souls. Yeah, these are beautiful. Sojourn.
those weren't the original titles.
Okay.
But the titles transformed itself, and by the time this album was done, I had changed all the titles 3 times. And I had changed the order of the whole album twice.
So, which song do you want to play from this?
I'm going to play Calling All Souls.
Calling All Souls. And would you say this is your best, or is it like children, you have no favorites?
Thank you.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like children.
Yeah, every time I make a CD, I put my whole heart into it.
I also want to remind people that David has this book out called Divine Inner Guidance. And we're also going to hear a piece from this Grammy Award nominating. Next time you win the award.
Sure.
Called Solace. And the piece on this, we're going to
Calling All Souls.
Calling All Souls, track 2 if you're listening at home. Okay, I'm ready, and I'm going to meditate to it.
Okay.
That's beautiful. That's the song.
Thank you.
What inspired that? What's going on for you when you are playing that song, or when you wrote it?
Well, I feel like I'm on a mountaintop in Tibet, and it's cold, but the music is warm inside me.
So you get stuff back from the audience as well.
It's different than rock music. I used to play rock music, and with rock music, it's different. With the audience, you're trying to get the audience into a frenzy with rock music.
Is that what you're trying to do with rock
Pretty
music?
much,
I guess.
And so that seems to be the goal.
And
with
this
rock
is
music.
the exact opposite.
It's the exact opposite. It's kind of funny because I used to play in an AC/DC tribute band from 1980 to 1982. And so I dressed up like Angus Young, and my job was to go apeshit and go crazy all over the place, And the worst insult you could give somebody back then in the 80s was that this music put you to sleep.
Oh.
And now it's a compliment.
Great. So where's your music going now? I mean, we're almost out of time on this show,
Sure.
but just tell me, like, where do you want where do you want your music career to go, and what do you want your music to do?
Well, I love connecting with people, and I love the fact that, millions of people are listening to my music every night. DavidYoungMusic.com if you want to listen. Yep. But every night people... Yeah, there's hundreds of thousands of people who take my music into their meditation or, their quiet time with their partner. And that's really rewarding every time I go to sleep to know that, there's all those people enjoying...
In bed with you.
In bed with me, right? Bathtubs, But what I did this year is I did 2 new CDs that were different because I kept, up until this point, all of my instrumental music was only instrumental music. I wouldn't have any singing on it at all. My vocal albums were a total separate genre. But what I did this year was that I did these 2 albums where I incorporated a tiny bit of singing of a mantra. It's kind of like kirtan, with
Hindu.
Yep. And so this one is called "My Mind Is Clear, My Mind Is Calm." And so this is super relaxing music.
You can hold it up.
And
right. This is super relaxing music.
And every 3-4 minutes, there's a soft kind of like angelic voice that says, "My mind is clear, my mind is calm."
Oh.
And it's mixed in, so it's kind of subliminal. And so because it happens every 3-4 minutes, after a while of listening to this, whatever was on your mind gets replaced by my mind is clear, my mind is calm.
And people can get this from your website.
Yep,
And,
for sure.
and the other,
The other one is called I Have Everything I Need and All Is Well.
That's another kind of, you hear it, it's not subliminal.
Right, you hear it, but it's blended in with the music, so it's not like obvious, oh, there's this angelic voice.
Are these all recorders on these albums?
There's
the
recorders,
CDs?
guitars, keyboards, all different kinds of
You play
textures.
them all?
On these albums, I play all the instruments. On my early albums, I would hire a harpist or I'd hire a keyboard player. But on these albums, you know, I got good with this thing called a guitar synthesizer, so I would play a guitar, but it wouldn't sound like a guitar coming out. It would sound like these spiritual sounds.
So do things still amaze you musically, like when you come up, you write a new song, and it's like, wow. Do you get that feeling?
Well, I did, because on this, with the guitar synthesizer, there's a button that's called the sustain button. Okay, so that makes, you know, when you have a piano, you have the sustain pedal, and that makes everything just sustain and continue the sound.
Right.
Well, with this guitar synthesizer, it has this sustain button. So you put your foot on it, and whatever you've just played, it continues. So whatever you play additionally is like adding more and more onto this sustaining sound. And it turns into this amazing, beautiful, ethereal, heavenly sounds that you could never make intentionally. It just starts growing on itself.
So are you going to do more of those albums?
I love this thing because I love the fact that it's kind of therapeutic. It's, believe it or not, it's therapeutic for me. If I have something that's bugging me, I put one of these CDs on, like my mind is clear, my mind is calm.
So they really help you, your own music.
Yeah, because I figure if it can't help me, why should it help anybody else? You know?
And if it does help you, it should help everyone else.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. I think we're just about out of time on this show. We can do another show talking about other aspects of your work.
Sure.
I've been talking to David Young Music, a gifted, versatile world musician, really. And you have any closing words? You have anything?
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks. And you're located in New York now, so
Yeah, I just moved back.
So you'll be playing
In the area.
But you'll be playing concerts, or great.
Yeah, I'll let you know we can advertise.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do some things, and yeah, have you back on the show.
Sure.
So thanks for watching New Realities. I want to thank Jan Goldstaff for helping create this program, and Gloria and Danny in the control room, and everyone here at M&N. I'm Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. If you want to contact me, go to that website, newrealities.com. Thanks for watching.